This episode of the Jim Stroud podcast is brought to you by Career Intelligence Weekly, the newsletter that tracks the invisible job market for smarter career decisions. Subscribe now at newsletter.jimstroud.com. This one is for the student, the college student, who checks their email with a kind of braced, quiet resignation. Not the ones coasting on country club handshakes and uncles with corner offices. They have a different map entirely. This isn't for them. This is for you, the one sitting with something heavy in the chest most mornings, that low dread that feels less like anxiety and more like clarity. Like your nervous system has been trying to tell you something your optimism keeps refusing to hear. That degree, the hustle, the sacrificed weekends and accumulated debt were all down payment on a future that may not be waiting on the other side. That suspicion deserves to be taken seriously, because it's not weakness. It is intelligence responding to a system that was never fully explained to you. So I'll make it plain. It's 11:47 p.m. Your laptop screen is the only light in the room. The application portal is open again, and you're staring at that little spinning wheel, that tiny digital void, waiting for confirmation that your resume landed somewhere, that it touched something real, that it didn't just dissolve into the ether like every other attempt before it. You've done everything right. The degree, the internship, maybe a certification squeezed between finals and a part-time job that was supposed to be temporary but somehow became permanent. You follow the architecture of success that everyone handed you, counselors, parents, LinkedIn influencers, with perfect headshots and vague advice about showing up authentically. And yet, there is a particular kind of exhaustion that isn't physical. It lives somewhere behind the sternum, a low, chronic ache that comes not from working too hard, but from working hard in the dark, from effort that doesn't seem to connect to outcome, from feeling like you're playing a game where everyone else knows the rules, but nobody wrote them down for you. That ache, I know it. And I want to talk about what's actually causing it, because it's not what you think. Here's the truth that the Career Center brochure will never say out loud. The job market is not a meritocracy. It's not a queue where the most qualified candidate simply steps forward and gets called. It never was. It's a relationship architecture. Who knows you? Who trusts you? Who thought of your name at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday when something opened up before it was ever posted on a job board? That's the system. And most of us, were handed a map that doesn't show the actual terrain. We were taught to knock on the door. Nobody told us how the door works. So let me tell you about the move. A specific, strategic, counterintuitive move that a small percentage of students make, and it changes everything about how they enter the working world. And it is this, pay attention: work part-time in recruiting. Not as a career, not as a commitment that defines you, as a lens, as a deliberate act of infiltration into the machinery of hiring itself. Because here's what happens when you step behind that particular curtain. Your perspective fractures, and then it rebuilds into something sharper. You stop applying for jobs and start understanding how jobs actually get filled. You watch the process from the inside, the side where decisions are made, where language is analyzed, where a resume gets 3 seconds of attention before it's sorted into a pile you never recover from. You learn things that cannot be taught in a classroom, things that feel almost illegal to know, like the fact that clarity always beats cleverness. You spend 4 years learning to sound sophisticated, to construct arguments, to use vocabulary that signals intelligence. And that is genuinely valuable, but not in a job description, not in a cover letter, not in the first 30 seconds of a recruiter's attention. In those moments, the brain that's reading your materials is not analyzing, it is filtering. Simple language, alignment with their exact words, proof, not performance. You don't learn that by sending applications into the void. You learn it by watching, really watching what happens on the other side. When you sat with a stack of resumes and felt your own attention drift from the dense, over-designed ones to the clean, direct ones, something clicks. Something that rewires how you present yourself forever. The process stops feeling random because it isn't random. It's predictable, it's learnable, and it is absolutely, completely conquerable once you can see it. Now, layer something else on top of that. The word networking has been beaten so far past meaning that most students flinch when they hear it. It conjures up images of forced smiles at career fairs, of LinkedIn messages that read like cover letters, or it reads of asking someone for something while pretending you're not asking for something. Recruiting dissolves all of that. Because when you're working in recruiting, you're not networking out of desperation. You're reaching out with context, with purpose, with something to offer, a role to fill, a question to ask, a genuine reason to be in conversation. You learn how to engage professionals without the static of neediness. You learn that most people, when approached with clarity and respect, will give you more than you expected. And here's where it becomes almost unfair. While your peers are starting to build relationships at graduation when they need them, you've been building them for a year or two already, quietly, strategically, stacking conversations the way other people are stacking debt. There's a phrase that deserves to live somewhere permanent in your mind. Please tattoo it there. Dig your well before you're thirsty. There's also this. The choice of where you recruit matters as much as the fact that you do it. Don't wander in. Aim. If finance is where you're headed, find a search firm that places financial talent. If it's tech, get into an environment where engineers and product managers are the currency. If it's healthcare, media, logistics, follow the gravity of your own future. Because now your network isn't just large. It's targeted. It's relevant. It speaks the language of the world you're trying to enter. And you arrive at that world already known, already trusted, already part of conversations that most candidates will never get invited to. I want to acknowledge something that doesn't get said enough in these kinds of conversations, and I feel like I'm venting, so bear with me. There is quiet, particular grief in doing everything right and still feeling overlooked. You study, you hustle, you stretch yourself across internships and extracurriculars and skill building and self-improvement, and then you send out 40 applications and hear almost nothing back. And the silence doesn't just sting. It confuses. Because you were told the equation was simple. Effort in, opportunity out. But here's the uncomfortable correction to that equation. Effort is necessary, but effort is not sufficient. Visibility is the variable that most people never account for. Not because they're not working hard enough, because they're working hard in the wrong direction toward a system they've never seen from the inside. Recruiting, working in recruiting, hands you visibility. It puts you in rooms, literal and metaphorical, where the invisible architecture of opportunity becomes suddenly, starkly, unmissably visible. None of this is frictionless. I want to be honest about that. Recruiting comes with pressure. Lots of pressure. Rejection. The specific discomfort of sitting in between what a company wants and what a candidate needs. You learn to hold tension, to communicate under strain, to hear no repeatedly, and understand it as data, not a personal verdict of your personal self. But here's what friction quietly builds in you. Resilience that isn't performed. Emotional literacy that isn't theoretical. A kind of groundedness that comes from having navigated something real, not simulated, not graded on a curve, not padded with safety nets. And when you eventually step into your hiring process on the other side of the table as the candidate, you are no longer guessing. You are calibrating. You know how to position yourself, how to speak to what they actually need, how to move through the conversation with the quiet confidence of someone who has been inside the machine and understands its rhythms. You're not starting from zero. You have relationships, context, perspective earned before the pressure arrived. That is the unfair advantage. Not luck, not pedigree, not the right last name or the right zip code. Perspective earned early. And once you carry that, you don't just apply for jobs. You move differently. You have been listening to the Jim Stroud Podcast, a proud member of the Purple Acorn Network. If you like what you heard, hate what you heard, or don't know what you just heard, I want to know about it. Email your questions and comments to podcast@jimstroud.com. That's podcast@jimstroud.com. Do it now. Operators are standing by. Well, that's it for now. I'll be back later, right here, with a brand new episode. So until then, bye-bye.